91% of real estate agents in this country are invisible. Not bad at their job, not new, but invisible. As in, a buyer or seller asks the question that decides who they hire, and the answer comes back, and that agent's name is not in it, not lower down, not on page 2. There's no page 2 anymore. They're simply not in the answer. And here's the part that should make every agent watching sit up straight. Those agents don't know it's happening. There's no notification, nothing broke, the phone just rings a little less than it did last year. And everybody has a story about why. The market, it's rates, it's inventory. Seasonally, it's none of those things. Over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to walk you through 4 pieces of news that all landed inside of the last few weeks. And by the time I'm done, you're going to see that there are not 4 stories. There's just one story being told 4 different ways. So here's what's coming. First, the number of buyers who now start their agent search inside an AI tool went from 17% to 67% in 18 months. That's 18 months. Now, I'm going to show you why that's the fastest consumer behavior shift I've ever seen in this business, and I have been in it a long time. Second, there's reporting out right now that when you ask AI which agent to hire, the agent it gives you can quietly inherit the exact same ranking that Zillow built. Now, I want to be careful and precise with this one because the accurate version is actually worse than the sloppy version, and I'll explain exactly why. Third, Zillow just posted an 18% revenue growth in a housing market that's flat, and this is flat. Nobody's moving, according to a lot of the statistics out there, depending on your market, and they grew 18%. So I'm going to tell you exactly where that money came from, and it's going to probably irritate you. And fourth, the one that stopped me cold, 82% of agents now use AI to write their listing descriptions, up from 58% 2 years ago. Brokerages are hitting near total adoption, and the production numbers have barely moved. Almost everybody adopted the tool. Almost nobody got the advantage. I'm going to break down why that happened because the reason is not what people think, and understanding it is worth more than any of the other 3. So stay with me to the end on that last one. This is where the actual instruction is. Let's go. Let me give you the numbers straight, and then let me tell you where they come from, because you should never take a number from me or anybody else without knowing who counted it. There's a benchmark report out this year on the state of AI search in residential real estate. The people who ran it looked at roughly 3,400 AI responses across 8.2 million queries, spread across 192 metro areas. That's not a survey. Nobody asked how they feel. This is a machine going out and asking the question the way a consumer would ask it in 192 cities and writing down what came back. 2 findings. Number 1, the share of home buyers using an AI tool as their primary way to research an agent before they ever pick up the phone went from 17% to 67% in only 18 months. That's 61% of buyer-side searches now begin in an AI engine instead of a traditional search bar. Number 2, 91% of agents in this country do not appear in those answers. Fewer than 1 in 10 shows up when a consumer asks a location-based question about who to hire. A separate group ran their own version of this and put the number even lower, somewhere around 8%. Now sit with what those 2 numbers do when you put them next to each other. The room where the hiring decisions start moved, and 91% of the industry is not standing in the new room. I want to explain how we got here because it didn't come out of nowhere, and it was not a Silicon Valley conspiracy. It was a completely predictable consequence of one small change in behavior. For 25 years, a consumer with a question typed some words into a box, and then, as you remember, got back a list of blue links, 10 of them on the page. And their job as the consumer was to do the work. You click one, you read it, you back up, you click the other one, you read that, you look at the 2, you figure it out, you decide. The search engine handed you the raw material, and you did the assembly yourself. Everything the real estate industry built for online marketing was built for that world. Rank in the 10 links, be one of the 10, be above the fold, be on page 1, and you get that click. That's what SEO was. That is what every agent website vendor sold. That's what the portals monetized. When that box started answering, you didn't get 10 links anymore. You get a paragraph, a confident, clean, well-organized paragraph that reads like a person who did the homework for you. And we like that instant gratification. And in that paragraph, maybe 3 names, maybe 2, sometimes 1. And that's there. And here's the thing about a paragraph. A paragraph doesn't have a page two. A list of 10 links has an 11th link and a 100th link. And if you were number 47, you still technically existed. You could still get found by somebody stubborn. The page does not work that way. The paragraph has a hard edge. You're either in it or you're not in it. And there is no 47th position in a single paragraph. There is in and there is out. That's the whole shift. That one thing. We went from a rank list where being mediocre still meant existing to a generated answer where being anything other than named means not existing. And it happened fast because consumers did not have to be convinced. Nobody ran an ad campaign telling people to stop using the old search. It was just easier. It answered the question. People do the easier thing. They always do. This is not a moral failing. This is just people. 18 months, 17 to 67. Here's the cruel mechanic, and this is the part where I really want to land. When your rankings drop in the old world, you could see it. You open the tool, you look at where you sit for your terms, and the line went down. It was measurable. It was a chart. You can point at it and say, well, that's my problem. When you're not in the answer, there's no chart. There's no notification. Nobody sends you a letter. The AI doesn't say, by the way, we considered you, but we left you out. There's only silence. The silence is the one signal every one of us is trained to explain away. I've watched agents do this all year. Calls are down. Well, rates, well, inventory. What is it? Is it the summer? People are going on vacation. Oh, it's an election year. Oh, midterms. Yeah. 2026. We're almost in August 2026 is the time of this video. Yeah. Got midterms coming up. My God, there's a war. There's all that. People are waiting, and every single one of those explanations is available and very comfortable and free, and none of them require you to change anything. Meanwhile, the actual thing that happened is that the question got asked 11,000 times in your market this year, and your name was in the answer 0 of those times. Now, that's not a market problem. That's a presence problem. And they look identical from the inside. But let me tell you what I think happens over the next 12 to 24 months. And I'll tell you plainly which part is fact and which part is me reading the road. Fact. The number is going up, not down. 67% is not a ceiling. It's a waypoint. Every one of these tools is getting more capable at exactly this kind of local question. And every one of them is being wired into places people already are. The phone, the browser, the car. The thing on the counter, my read, the gap between the 9% and the 91% is going to get wider, not narrower. So it's not going to get wider faster than people expect, because these systems reward consistency and accumulation. Being in the answer this month makes you more likely to be in the answer next month, and it compounds. And compounding will always look slow right up until it does not. My read, and this is the uncomfortable one, a lot of agents are going to spend the next 2 years getting better at the craft, better photography, better staging advice, better negotiation, genuinely better. And it will not save them, because craft has never been the distribution problem. You can be the best listing agent in your city and be invisible, and invisible doesn't get a chance to demonstrate craft. Nobody hires the person they never heard of. That is not fair. I'm not telling you that it's fair. I'm telling you that it is the shape of the thing. Now, the second story, and I need to be very careful here because I've already seen this one repeated sloppily already, and the sloppy version is both wrong and weaker. There's reporting out of Housing Wire on how AI agent recommendations relate to Zillow's rankings. The sloppy version going around is the AI is taking money to recommend agents and hiding it. Well, that's not what the reporting says, and I am not going to say it because it's not accurate and because I do not need it. The accurate version is worse. And here's the accurate version. The AI is not being paid. The AI is inheriting. These systems learn what a good agent looks like by reading the internet, and a very large share of the internet's opinion about who's a good real estate agent is, in practice, the portals, the directory pages, the rankings, the profile pages with the badges and the review counts and the placement. Those rankings were shaped in part by platform engagement and by spend. So this is not a secret, and it's not a scandal. It's a business model, and it has been openly a business model for years. Everybody in this industry knows the top of portal directory is not purely mediocrity. So the machine reads all of it. And it forms a view of who the good agents are. And the view carries the fingerprints of a system money helps shape. And then it hands that view to a consumer in a clean paragraph with no ads label, no sponsored tag, in the calm, even voice of something that sounds like it has no dog in the fight. And that's the problem. It's not corruption, laundering in the plain sense of the word. A commercial ranking goes in one side and a neutral sounding answer comes out the other. And the consumer has no way to tell that anything commercial ever touched it. When you saw a sponsored listing on a portal, you knew. And there was a little gray word that said so, and you could discount it as being something somebody paid for placement within. Now, you're an adult. You've seen an ad before. You adjust. The paragraph from an AI does not come with a gray word. It comes with the authority of something that read everything and thought about it and is now just telling you the answer. Nobody set out to do this, and I want to be fair about that because I think the accidental version is more instructive than the villain version. If you're building one of these systems, you have a hard problem. Somebody asks, who's a good listing agent in my area? There's no clean database of agent quality. There's no government scorecard. Quality in this business is most invisible from the outside. So you do the only thing you can do. You look for signals of prominence. Who's written about, who's listed, who has reviews, who appears in the places that appear to be authoritative. And in residential real estate, the places that look authoritative to a machine are largely the portals because they are enormous. These syndication sites are well structured. They're consistent. They are everywhere. So the machine leans on them, not out of malice, out of the absence of anything better. The result is a ranking built for commercial purpose, becomes the raw material for an answer presented as editorial. And there's no disclosure step in the middle because from the machine's point of view, nothing happens that needs disclosing. It just read the internet. It summarized it fact. This is getting regulatory attention. Now, when the thing steering a consumer largest financials decision is opaque and commercially influenced, that's a well-lit path to somebody with subpoena power asking questions. I'm not going to predict what they do. I'm telling you that the attention is real and it's early. My read, some form of disclosure is coming. By the way it came to search ads and the way it came to sponsored content, it will be inadequate at first, the way it always is at first. So my read is here, and it's the one that matters for you. Every consumer-facing system that has been gameable has eventually been gamed. And the people who understood it got an early window. That window is open right now. It's not going to stay open because once everybody optimizes for it, being optimized for it stops being an advantage. It becomes table stakes. The same way having a website stopped being an advantage around 2005. You're inside of a window. That's the entire opportunity in this segment, not forever, but right now. Here's the third story. Zillow. Like them, hate them, don't care about them. Well, they are what they are. They just posted revenue up 18%. And this is in a flat, overly flat housing model. Now, this particular market is different from city to city, but over the term, what we're seeing, it's flat. So this corresponds to them recording an 18% revenue up. Transaction volume is not up 18%. Prices are not up 18%. Nothing about the underlying business of houses changing hands is up 18%. They also launched Zillow Pro, a nationwide premium membership for agents with AI tools for client collaboration, lead prioritization, and outreach. And they integrated with Google's Gemini Spark so a consumer can search for a property and book a showing without ever leaving the conversation. So you put three facts in a row and the picture assembles itself. The revenue is not coming from the housing market being good. It's coming from agents. And when the market is flat, agents get anxious. Anxious agents buy leads. Anxious agents upgrade their membership. Anxious agents pay for placement and tools and priority. A flat market is not bad for a company that sells to agents. A flat market is the best possible market for a company that sells to agents leads because scarcity is what makes the product feel necessary. So the flat market is not something Zillow is surviving. It's a tailwind for that specific revenue line. Now, the Gemini Spark integration, which is the piece I would pay most attention to, think about what that actually does. A consumer in a conversation with AI. They ask about houses, they see something, they book the showing right there, they never leave. Every step of that happens inside somebody else's conversation. And whoever is positioned inside that conversation gets the introduction. Go back to part one for a second. 67% of buyers already start in an AI tool of some type. Now, the largest player in the industry has wired itself directly into one of those tools at the exact moment the consumer is ready to act. That's not a feature launch. That's a company that read the same research you just heard me read and moved first. And here is what I want you to notice. They're not moving as an agent. They're moving as an infrastructure. They're not trying to be the answer. They're trying to be the thing the answer is built on top of, and that's a fact. Their share of agent discovery traffic is actually declining. It went from 41% to about 34% over 12 months. They lost close to a fifth of their share of that specific thing in a year. And that reframes everything that they are doing. This is not a company at rest expanding for fun. This is a company watching the front door, it get built quietly bypassed. And it's buying its way into the new front door before the bypass finishes. My read. Expect more of this from every other large platform in the industry quickly. Homes.com has already done it. Homes.com, I was talking to one of their sales reps the other day, just trying to gather information for the open houses system I built for other people. And in there, they have their AI bot. Well, their AI bot doesn't procure a transcript. I thought, oh my God, for training purposes, to send to the client, that is a premium offering. And it just has to be switched on probably. The guy I was talking to on the phone, while he was let down that I didn't sign up, he was elated that I made that. He wrote it down. I watched him in front of me on camera, on Zoom, write it down. And I'm sure hopefully he'll be the next assistant CFO for that company. The strategic prize is no longer owning the destination website. It's being embedded in the assistant. Anybody who is still competing to be the best destination is competing for a room people are leaving. My read, and this is where the individual agent should actually pay attention, when the portals fully embed themselves in the assistants, the cost of being introduced through them goes up, and it always does. The introduction was cheap when they needed volume. It gets expensive once they were the only road. And this means the only durable position is one where the consumer arrives already knowing your name. So the introduction was never something you had to rent. And that's the whole game. It's actually always been the game. It is just like the price of ignoring it is about to go up, way up. Last one. And this is the one I've been building to. So if you skipped ahead, come back. 82% of the agents who use AI to write their listing descriptions, 2 years ago, that was 58%. This is from RPR data. Love the resource. They reported that this June of 2026. Brokerages are reporting adoption rates way up in the 90s. And that's near universal. And the production numbers barely moved. The reporting is consistent on this. The gains concentrate in a small group of power users. Most agents report little measurable change in their actual numbers. A brokerage can hit near total adoption and still have most of its agents producing roughly what they produced 2 years ago. Let me say that in one sentence because it's the most important sentence in this entire video. Adoption is not advantage. I want to explain the mechanism because when you see it, you can't unsee it. And it applies to a lot more than listing descriptions. When a tool is hard to get and hard to use, having it is an advantage. That is just supply. Fewer people have the thing is worth something. When a tool becomes free, easy, and universal, having it stops being worth anything at all, not less. Nothing because your competitor across town has the identical tool, prompted roughly the same way, producing roughly the same output, and roughly the same house. Everybody got faster at producing the same thing. And when everybody gets faster at producing the same thing, nobody gains ground. You just get a market with more of the same thing in it. Produce quicker, and that's the whole story of the 82%. And there is also a second layer, which is worse. The agents who adopted it mostly pointed at the wrong target. They pointed it at the thing that was already easy. Listing descriptions were never the bottleneck in anybody's business. Nobody in the history of this industry lost a listing because writing the description took 90 minutes or 3 hours. It was just the most obvious, lowest risk, most visible place to put a new tool, so that's where it went. So the industry took the most powerful tool, a supreme intelligence that arrived in a generation and aimed it directly at a task that was not costing anybody anything. Meanwhile, the actual bottleneck, the reason most agents struggle, hasn't moved an inch. The bottleneck is being known, being trusted, being the name that comes up. It has always been that. It was that in 1995, and it's that now. Power users exist. The gains are real. They are just concentrated. So what did they do differently? They didn't use it to produce the same things faster. They used it to produce things that didn't exist before. That's the distinction. Compression versus creation. If you use it to do your existing work in less time, you've bought yourself time, and time is nice. But time is not that much of an advantage because your competitor bought the same time from the same vendor for the same price. But if you use it to do work that was previously impossible for a single person, that's different. Depth, nobody else has the hours to produce. Consistency, see, nobody else has the discipline to hold. Coverage, nobody else can staff. And notice what that does when you connect it back to part one. The thing that gets you the answer is substance, volume, and consistency of real signal, being genuinely, verifiably, repeatedly present on your questions that matter in your market with something worth citing. And that's a workload problem. It always was. That's exactly why 91% of agents are not in the answer. Because for a solo agent, it was never realistically doable. Not because they did not want to, but because there are not enough hours. And that's the one thing this technology is actually genuinely good for. And it's the one thing that almost nobody pointed at. 82% aimed at it the easy thing. A small group aimed it at the hard thing. And it's the entire difference between the group whose numbers moved and the groups whose numbers did not. 4 stories, 1 story. The place where people decide who to hire moved, and it moved in about 18 months. 91% of the industry is not there and cannot tell because absence is silent. The answers people get in that new place, they're not neutral. They carry the shape of a commercial ranking in a voice that sounds like it does not. The biggest player in the business already read all of that and brought its way into the new room and is growing 18% in a flat market by selling anxiety to agents that haven't actually noticed yet. And the tool that could have closed the gap got handed to almost everybody. And almost everybody pointed at the wrong target. So the gap didn't close, it just widened. And here's what I actually wanted you to take out of this. Nothing in this, what I described, is about being a better agent, not one piece. You can be excellent at this job and completely absent from every one of these systems. And if you are, then excellence is a private fact that no client will ever get to discover. Craft and presence are 2 different problems. This industry has spent 25 years telling people to solve the first one and hoping the second one takes care of itself. It used to a little. It does not anymore. The window on this is open right now, and it's open because most of the industry is still explaining the quiet phone with rates and inventory. It closes when they stop. I'm not going to tell you this is easy. I'm not going to tell you that there's a shortcut because there isn't one. And anybody selling you one is selling you the shortcut, not the result. But I will tell you that the door's open, and it's going to be open for a shorter time than most people think. I represent sellers. That's the only side I take. If you're thinking about selling in the Santa Clarita Valley, you want to talk about what any of this actually means for your house and your equity, go to SantaClaritaOpenHouses.com. My system, I have a whole network full of fantastic agents with other open house systems. We help you out. You reach out to me if you're an agent in this landed. Same information is available to you, so go use it. And I'll see you on the next one. I'm Connor with Honor. Have a great day.